They updated the Infernal Hordes, and the small changes they did bumped some of the boons finally up to the S tier. Because right now, what are you looking for the most? The Summoned Hellborn. Number 1, absolute best. You get 1 ether and Hellborn are hunting you. The interesting part about the Hellborn are hunting you is they can randomly appear not only on ether events. Then the Surging Hellborn, when these get spawned, there's +1. The Hellfire Hellborn, so the actual Hellfire can spawn them too. And then Hellborn grant 1 ether. These are the absolute super S tier and currently still listed under A tier. There's something new that I would bump all the way up, and that is our friends, the Ether Fiends. You usually do never take them because it's +1 ether, and that's kind of horrible. Well, all the Ether Fiend bonuses got bumped up to +2. And I did an experiment in the background, and that was 1 try, take all the Hellborn stuff I can find and ignore most of the Ether Fiend things. And then number 2, just take all the Ether Fiend stuff and ignore the Hellborns. Now, obviously, combining both bonies is going to lead to the most outcome, but I managed to get the same amount of ether with only Fiends and only Hellborn. That's actually crazy considering how dominant the Hellborn usually are. And the number 1 thing you're looking for is called the Surging Elite. Ether Fiends grant +2 ether, chance for elite doubled. This gets followed by Ether Fiends grant +2 ether, and then Ether Fiends grant +2 ether again. They're unstoppable and they do more damage. Interestingly enough, you can get multiple of those, so the Exalted Elite can come back to back to back. You can just keep stacking them up. Now, obviously, the Exalted Hordes is great, but the Exalted Hordes is not an always pick. Yes, you can get the events 50% faster, but if you have no good events, then it's useless. I mean, let's imagine your first choice is +1 Hellborn, or ether events come faster, or even Ether Fiends grant +2 ether, and ether events come faster. The answer is actually pretty simple. Without anything that gives you plus more, getting a lot of events is useless because they give you the minimum amount of ether. So only take the Exalted Hordes to boost the frequency of the events as you actually have something to boost. And yes, the Hellfire, the Burning Rain, is pretty damn good now. It gives you 3 to 9, so if you get this as your very first one, even without the Hellborn spawn on Hellfire, you're actually able to, at least with 9 waves, get another 18 ether. But base case scenario, if you get 9 ether every single time, you get so much more. Now, there's an interesting one that people call horrible, and that is Invigorating Hellborn. And you would say, yeah, true, that's shit. Slaying Hellborn invigorates you. It gives you bonus health. There's one thing you have to understand about the Infernal Hordes, and that is how they actually work. Because if you have the choice between Soulspire, +2, Etheric Masses, +1, and the Hellborn invigorate you, if you in this wave actually take Soulspire or Etheric Mass, you're doing yourself a disfavor. And the simple reason for that is, if you pick something, it will come, more likely. If I pick Etheric Masses, give me +1 ether, then there's going to be 3, 5, 10 even coming in the next wave. If I pick Soulspires, give me more Soulspires. But if I then take Hellborn Invigorate me, it is technically useless, but it doesn't clusterfuck the spawn rates, because now I picked something Hellborn related, which means more Hellborn are going to appear. And the same actually goes for the C, D, F tier for the worst of the worst. Let's look into the D tier. Insatiable Spires give you 2 times ether, but they would spawn Soul Spires. So that 2 times ether is useless as you're getting more Soul Spires. The Bursting Fiends get you Ether Fiends that explode, which is technically horrible. But practically, if my other 2 choices are Soul Spires and Etheric Masses, and I've already invested everything in Ether Fiends, well, if I then take Ether Fiends explode, what do you think is going to happen? Yes, we're going to get more Ether Fiends in that wave. So it makes so much sense to actually take it. And the same as for the Insatiable Spires with the 2x Ether, goes actually for the Gorging Masses. If you pick up Gorging Masses, a lot of Etheric Masses are going to come. It would actually be better in this case to take Ether Rush. Ether Rush seems completely useless. Gathering Ether increases movement speed, 8 seconds lock, and normal monsters deal more damage. Huh? Why would you ever take this? Coming back to the logic of not blocking yourself, we want Hellborn to appear, or we want Aether Fiends to appear, and we want the least amount of etheric masses and soul spires to come. So if our choice again is, we have Hellborns activated, and we have Aether Fiends +6. This is choice number 8, wave number 8. And I could take more etheric mass, Ether, soul spire bonus, or Aether Rush. Quite simple answer there. I'm going to take the Aether Rush because I don't want more etheric masses. I don't want more soul spires. No, I want normal monsters to deal more damage to me, and then the standard thing that I have already, the Fiends and the Hellborn, to actually appear as often as possible. I don't actually want to clock myself up. And that's also why you're mainly ignoring Aether Lords, because as soon as you get Aether Lords, and especially the etheric masses spawn Aether Lords, that kind of almost prevents Hellborn from coming. I've had waves where I pick Aether Lords, ground +3 Aether, and masses spawn Aether Lords. I only get etheric masses. I've had 2 waves in a row where I didn't get a single Hellborn despite having 2 Hellborn boons, because the Aether Lords back to back, as I get Aether Lords spawn now, was kind of horrible. And now the 4 worst ones that are actually not the worst ones. That's +15 Aether for defeating the Council. Well, +15 Aether is not technically horrible. Obviously, Hellborn, Aether Fiends, straight up better. But if your choice is again between taking Soul Spires or taking etheric mass bonuses, as you do actually have Hellborn and as you do have Aether Fiends, it might be so much better to take the Council, since you're not going to be blocking yourself again. It's quite funny how your choices actually do matter now more than ever, and they actually allowed us to have a plan B. Because if you didn't get Hellborn, it was horrible. I would straight up lost. I don't want anymore. I'm gone. Like in the first 2 waves, I don't see Hellborn. I'm out. I'm just going to restart this because I'm not going to waste my 10 minutes time in this. Wrong. Now with the Aether Fiends, they really balance this nicely out. I would even go so far to say we should bring up Aether Fiends to +3, as there's still a slight imbalance with the Hellborn. Optimally, you're going to mix and match both to go crazy. Which is your favorite boon that you're taking? Are you aware of all these bonuses, or could we actually help you? The tier list is linked in the description below from our boys over at helltides.com. And they have a cute list of rewards so you can see what actually drops at which tier. Since tier 5 and 6 is where you get Ingolith, and then tier 7 and 8 is where you get Neath Iron. Keep in mind though that between tier 7 and 8, it's only 5 Neath Iron of a difference, where we might be talking about a 5-minute difference between actually clearing a 7 or an 8. I mostly farm tier 7s as it's just so goddamn easy. Everything just explodes into pieces. Only if you want to see that Druid build where we're just destroying with. Check it out. It's fantastic.